Greetings, Brother Ravana Noon here. Klippoth, the tree of Klippoth. One thing that I've noticed is when you take a journey through the Klippoth, there's going to be many interpretations, many different understandings, and that's based upon your work, that's based upon your perceptions, that's based upon the results you receive. So you will have people discussing the Klippoth as if this is the only way to view it, and that's incorrect. The way you are going to view the Klippoth is through your own journey and the experiences you gain in that journey. For example, Lilith. Instead of allowing yourself to just work with Lilith and receive the gnosis, the problem that many people have that I've noticed is they try to get too much understanding about Lilith. Now, there's nothing wrong because performing rituals without knowledge can be dangerous. And then lack of knowledge in performing those rituals are dangerous. Also, having too much knowledge can be dangerous. Now, people may ask, well, what do you mean, Ravana? Simple. Sometimes, if you know too much, it doesn't allow you to flow within the ritual because now you're trying to direct the results of the ritual based upon the knowledge you received through your studies about who Lilith is. So, for example, Lilith, to some, would be known as a symbol of empowerment for females because her story is kind of similar to a Set, also known as, improperly known as Isis, although that's her Greek derivative. She was able to have the secret word of God to therefore allow herself to be independent of God and determine her own existence. Pretty much like a Set was able to trick Ra and receive the word of power, the secret name of Ra, and therefore be independent to create her own existence. Now, that is good information to know. But that information can also be useless in your ritual working. For example, yes, it's good to know that she was independent and empowered and to be free from the domain of man to control her, to determine her existence. She was able to determine her own existence. The problem is that when you work with Lilith and how she may come in the ritual and how she may present herself in the ritual is completely and utterly different. And therefore, you're going to try to base your knowledge and your experience on that. Just like when we work with Samael, some people are trying to figure out, is Samael a messenger of God? Is Samael a demon? Is Samael, etc., etc., etc.? You really cannot understand what Samael is unless you go and begin the work and go through the process of working with Samael based upon your work. You will have greater gnosis about Samael. So we have to realize that as we work the tree of Klippoth. Each Klippoth, you'll receive gnosis, you'll receive understanding, and having, we're trying to figure out too much before you even begin the process can sometimes hinder your results. It can sometimes cripple you in your results or cripple your work. It's best to just let it flow. In a sense, go in there having the basic understanding of who Lilith, of who the Am is, Samael, Baal, Asmodee, Satan, Moloch. Understanding the various Qliphothic archetypes you're going to meet on your path, on your journey through the Qliphoth. We hinder ourselves too much by trying to consume all this knowledge, which is, yes, it's beautiful. That is from my experience. Now you have to find your own experience and what works best for you. But too much, sometimes having all this knowledge is a crutch, because you're relying too much on that knowledge, and then your experience may be totally different than than what you've read and studied. It may be totally opposite. It may be not even close to what you read. Okay, so keep those things in mind, and then it won't be disappointing when you do your own ritual and you're expecting these outcomes and these results because of what you read, and then yours comes out totally different. Then you think, oh, it didn't work the way it was supposed to. How do you know that? It worked exactly the way it was supposed to, for it was what it was. And trying to go further than that is you still trying to control everything, trying to control the outcome, and not just performing the work. This, what you hear in the background, come here. Come here. Thor, come here. Come here. This is what you hear in the background. My new puppy. My miniature Australian Shepherd. Say hi to the camera. Only 4 months old. Adorable. Miniature because they will grow less than 2 feet. But strong, powerful dogs, intelligent, super smart. Figure things out quickly. They're easily to be trained. In a matter of a few days, they start learning where to go potty, things of that nature. So, for some reason, he has this nervous habit of constantly choking on something. And we clean up the house so he doesn't try to chew things on the ground. We have chew toys, and he still just can't stop. So he's going to the vet Tuesday to make sure he's all right. But anyways, let's continue. Let's put him down on the ground so he can go play. All right, so that happens quite often journeying through the Qliphoth. So what I've learned to do, and you have to find, like I said, your own way, is just enjoy the process. Enjoy going into the work, not so bottled up with all these thoughts of what this, what there, what, how, who, when, where, why. Rather, just go into it with passion, love, and desire for what you're about to encounter, for what you're about to do. That should be your focus, and it will help you immensely on your path. Immensely. Now, there are techniques that will help you when you journey through the Qliphoth. There's breathing techniques that you should learn. There's Qliphothic breathing techniques. There's Kundalini breathing techniques, pranayama, that you should utilize to activate the dragon. Do not look at the dragon. Do not look at the dragon as some real dragon, some mythological creature or an entity. That's not what the dragon is. Dragon is a force, an energy. It is the primordial force of all creation, pre-existing your mythological archetypes, your mythological gods and goddesses. It pre-exists that. It's just a force, an energy that pre-exists all of that. And it is the womb where we all come from, not an actual entity. And I'm going to keep repeating that till you get that. This primordial force, the draconian force, exists within you. It is that force that rises that some call the Kundalini. But people would be like, but the Kundalini is symbolic of serpents. True. However, when the Kundalini rises, reaches its crown, the serpents merge into one and they spread their wings to take flight, which is called ascending. When they ascend, the wings spread, it becomes a dragon. Therefore, that draconian force has reached its ascension and has opened you up to new sights, sounds, experiences, and realities through your ascension. That is the work. The work is not to get stuck somewhere. The work is not to become stagnant. The work is to actually go deeply inside the process with passion, desire, and love for it. One of the things I've noticed that people do not do quite often in their rituals is they'll prepare for the rituals, right? These are the steps. There's many steps, but I'll just narrow down the steps to a few of them. They don't do the last step, but the first step is usually preparation for the ritual, preparing for the ritual, gathering your tools, meditating on your intention for performing the ritual, right? Then actually performing the ritual. But then people forget part 3. Part 3 is more important than all of them. Part 3 is taking action in the physical. And I'll tell you what I mean about that. This is what I mean by that. Let's say you perform a money ritual, which is mundane magic to me. It's worldly magic, meaning physical magic that you can actually acquire if you just use certain basic business principles in your life. So let's say you perform a money ritual. You prepare, you get all the tools together, you acquire the tools. Tripping. Anyways, you acquire the tools. So you've completed the first 2 tasks. You performed the ritual. It was a magnificent ritual. Elaborate, candles were on point. The incense was on point. Everything was on point. But then you forgot the last step. So you want to win millions of dollars. And one of the ways to do that is to play the Powerball or the Mega Millions. You did a ritual, but you never took the physical action. You forgot to buy the ticket, or you just never bought the ticket. How are you going to win millions of dollars if you are trying to use the lotto to get there and you didn't take physical action by buying the ticket? Do you not think that that would be the ultimate and key step necessary to accomplish the task of winning millions of dollars? Of course it is. But people bypass that because they get caught up in the fever, in the drama, in the play of the ritual. That's what is important. That is, in a nutshell, one of the most important steps is taking action. So therefore, when you do your rituals in the Qliphoth and things arise from that primordial essence of yourself, it's not rising so you could acknowledge and say, oh my, I like these things and never realized they were buried deep inside me. It's arising because you're supposed to do something about it. Take action in that course of the directive of what arose in your ritual. It's presenting some work that needs to be done in this physical world. Therefore, actions are vital and key in your journey. Remember this as you continue to travel down the left hand path, as you continue to travel and descend and then ascend through the tree of Kliphoth. You'll start to get a greater understanding of things when you start to take action in the physical. Your greatest results is when you take action in the physical. For there, you are gaining the experience and understanding of what it is that surfaced in the ritual. You get a greater understanding of why it surfaced, and you'll get a greater understanding of why you had to participate in it, whatever it may be. Instead of just faking the funk, getting these fake results that many people get, where it's Kali spoke to me and Lilith spoke to me. And see, unfortunately, the problem with that is many times we want to hear things. We want to hear things to make or soothe our weary souls. So our minds create these conversations to make us feel better about ourselves. It massages our ego to feel better about ourselves, that we actually are getting results. So I must be different than other people who are not on the left-hand path or necessarily in the left-hand path. See, I'm greater than you because I got this, and Kali told me this, Lilith told me that, and Amma told me this, on and so forth, whatever the case may be. There's a huge disadvantage to that. How do you know when it's authentic or not authentic? The communication you're receiving. Many times we receive communication, or we perceive to receive communication, because we're going through major strife in life. We're going through serious problems in our life. So therefore, that communication that we're seeking is now all of a sudden given to us. Or is it really? See, that's the key. That's the question. That's the major question, because is it really given to you? Or are you forcing it to be what you want it to be? Are you forcing it or creating it to be what you want it to be? It's not genuinely flowing because you are in such disarray that everything is Kali told me this and this and this and that. See, that's why actions are a better barometer of what's actually taking place, of what's actually resulting, than our unfortunate creation of answers and ideas we want answers to. So therefore we create these false illusions that never occurred. And that's sad, but it does happen quite often, unfortunately, quite often. Is that your fault? It's hard to say if it's your fault or not. What it is saying is that we're not understanding the path and what it's for. The path is not to hear someone, something, some entity, some figment of our imagination, something to be the answer that we're seeking. The work is to deify yourself and therefore trust your own power and essence more than what supposedly you think you are hearing. That, unfortunately, my friends, is what quite often happens to individuals walking this path. They do not allow themselves to trust in their own power, in their own ability. They therefore subscribe to others to answer it for them. That happens quite often here because I still see people using the rituals as a means and a way to have the supposed entity, the supposed demon, the supposed god, goddess, give him an answer. Give him an answer to what they feel they want to hear. And unfortunately, that is a weakness because that's really no different than still waiting for God to give you an answer, for angels to come to you, for whatever the case may be. That is no different. Yet, it's still what is being done. It's still what is happening on this work. And it is kind of shocking, but it is something that people do. Unfortunately, people are still doing this. You have to really wake up at some point and ask yourself, wow, am I really doing anything different than I was doing before? Other than I'm working with darker forces, demons, primordial forces, etc., etc. Am I really doing something different? You need to determine that. You really should determine that. Because when that actually happens, when the illumination occurs that you are the only God, and therefore you are the one that's actually getting the answer, that moment in time, your work goes to a whole nother level. That's when your work takes you to another level. That's when you realize I'm finally starting to understand what self-deification is. I'm starting to finally understand why it is necessary to put the toys away. Put the toys away from giving our power away, from not realizing you are all that you've ever imagined to be through the draconian current, through demonic magic, through vampire magic. You are those archetypes you look up to. And it will happen eventually where you start to realize, okay, hold on, I'm not really hearing something from Kali. What I'm hearing is my true self. Some will call the holy guardian angel. Some will call it the demonic self. My true self is communicating because I'm integrating my true self. When I was younger, I separated my true self based upon the society I live in, the religions I was forced to accept, the beliefs that were forced upon me, and then the ones I developed and created myself. At that moment is when you start to really break free from worship. There's many people on the left-hand path who still are theistic, who still believe in gods and demons, and they believe them to be in totality true entities. Now, in their subjective realm, it could be true. But in the objective realm, I'm not co-signing that with you. I wasn't there to see what you experienced, to see what you saw or thought you saw. It comes a point where you gotta stop kissing someone's butt. Stop worshiping. Stop following. Stop following others. What I mean by that is rely on yourself. You are the true God that is and has always been. One of the number one principles in Luciferianism, also in vampirism. As a vampire, one of your main goals is immortality, to transcend the chains that bind us and to become immortal, not just in the physical, but immortal in consciousness. So that one day too, you will be known as an undead God. It is to bypass the limitations of human existence. But the trick is this: how do you bypass human existence? It's not by annihilating it, destroying it, shunning it, running from it. It's actually by living it to the fullest, experiencing it to the fullest, enjoying it to the fullest, because through this physical life, you will see the sacred, much like the Agori do. Through the taboo, they see the sacred, and they reach greater heights of illumination. To do that, you must face the very things you deny about yourself. And all of you deny something about yourself. Every one of us, whether we've been walking the left-hand path 20 years or a year, it does not matter. Most of us still hide things about ourselves and refuse to accept things about ourselves. You may be a female with a male spirit within you. You may be dominated more by masculine energy. And you may be fighting it for all these years and living a lie. You may be an individual who seeks freedom. You're a free spirit and should not and cannot be confined to society's definitions of relationships and what you should and should not do in a relationship. But we confine ourselves, and when we find these things out, we still don't do nothing about it. We just find it out and, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I found that out. That's kind of deep. What's deep about it? That you didn't do shit about your realization, how in the dark, the intellect illuminated that which you have buried, repressed. Now it's in the surface and you're still looking at it like it's a stranger, instead of realizing that's you. There is no separation. That's you and always been you. Again, people do not understand. You are the only God that is. As a vampire, that is the essence of what drives us to become immortal. Beyond just feeding off of the life force, the prana, the chi. It's beyond that. It's to become immortal in your ways, actions, and thoughts. Everything you do should be taking steps towards your immortality. Oh, there's feeding. Feeding is essential to a vampire. But feeding is one step to your immortality. It goes beyond that. And most vampires who really have gone deeply inside the vampiric current understand that. There's methods and techniques on how to feed that we do not share to the masses, because the masses would probably use it and hurt themselves or hurt others in the process. So we keep it under wraps. You have to be initiated to receive some of these secrets, some of these techniques. As a vampire, it's more than just dressing as a vampire. It's exuding your very essence as that of a vampire. All the work I do, I don't care if I'm walking through the draconian current. I don't care if I'm walking other paths. It's always come to the surface since my childhood to today about the vampiric nature of myself. So if I get all these hints throughout my life and I do nothing about it, I deserve all the BS that comes into my life because I'm not using what is obvious to empower myself. Are you empowering yourself, or are you still seeking someone to give you an answer? That's what these classes are about. It's an investment in yourself. It's an investment in your power, empowering yourself to be greater. It's not a class. It's beyond a class. It's an investment in yourself so that you can take the power you've always possessed and now utilize it in more effective ways. So now in the classes, the task has fallen on the individuals taking the classes to start creating their own rituals. You've taken enough classes, or you've done enough rituals to understand how to create effective rituals that will benefit you and help you. The vampiric class that will be starting in January, part 2. There's still time. A couple people have signed up for the vampiric class now. That's perfect time. This month is the perfect time so that January, when we kick up part 2 to vampiric class, you have already caught up. You've caught up and you're prepared and ready to go forward, because the second vampiric class is not going to be like this. The second vampiric class is going to be more in depth, more practices, more techniques, and more challenges to reveal your true vampiric nature or reveal that you're not vampiric. And those who choose to go further can then choose to become initiated under the Black Serpent Clan, the vampiric Black Serpent Clan. And even greater practices and gnosis will be revealed in the Black Serpent Clan. This is what the focus should be all about for individuals. Separating the bull, the ish that is just a part of your old mentality from the ways you came in here from, separating that thought process and creating a new thought process. That thought process is simple. You are the only God that is. Stop waiting for others to answer your problems, because when you do this work, the answer is coming from within. It's coming from you. It's coming from that your psyche, and that part of your psyche that resonates with whatever archetype is presenting itself, whatever demon or deity or whatever name you want to associate with it, because you still have a crutch and need something outside of yourself. It's presenting itself because that's you. It's a reflection of you, and it's resonating with you because that's where you're currently residing and vibrating at. Stop switching it off as Lilith is talking to me. She said I'm so juicy and divine. No, she didn't. What she told you is you're treacherous, you're an asshole, you suck at relationships, you suck in a lot of decisions you've made in your life have led you to where you are today. Stop blaming anyone but yourself for where you're currently at. That's what Lilith represents to you, and it's not a sugarcoating that's going to be revealed to you. What's going to be revealed to you is all the shit you avoid about yourself, and how walking through the BS that you ignore about yourself is how you're going to empower yourself. So, homework for those who choose to take it. Write 10 weaknesses you have, and then create a ritual focusing on that one weakness out of those 10 you choose to work on. If you need examples, if you need ideas on how to work rituals, sure, hit me up. That's no problem. But ultimately, you're going to create it for yourself. 10 major weaknesses. Pick the first one that sticks out the most to you, that you really need to focus on. Because unless you overcome that weakness, you are always going to be a slave to that weakness. Therefore, you can never elevate past your weaknesses. So many people in the conscious community, so many people in spiritual paths always emphasize their strengths. But you're only as powerful as your weaknesses. Sorry to tell you, you can be as strong as you want to be in your spiritual, right? And some of your spiritual gifts and abilities, wonderful. But you're only as strong as your weaknesses. And if you think you don't have weaknesses, boom, that's your first weakness right there. Let's work this, people. Vampiric class starting in January. Sith taking off. Sith class taking off. If you real, you serious, come it. Let's walk it. The journey of the Qliphoth starting in January. Journey through the Qliphoth is going to be a class that's going to emphasize your journey through the Qliphoth, walking through each Qliphoth, each gateway, each shell that's going to reveal things about yourself. Not delusional how great and powerful I am. It's going to reveal what you really are not. And that's the part people don't want to hear. They'd rather go get entertained by these fake occultists who are going to tell you how great and divine you are, how wonderful you are, how magnificent and original you are, and never tell you how treacherous you are, how disgusting you are, how ignorant you are. And they stay stuck. Hey, stop biting the shoe. Excuse me for a second, because young man does not understand he's not supposed to bite the shoes. All right. So let's take off. Let's take off on a new journey beginning now. Too many people make resolutions which are fake. If you got to wait to the new year to create a change, then you really are not serious, when you should create the change today. So if you're serious about your change in 2021, start today. Let's get to work. Let's start really focusing on overcoming those weaknesses, or transmuting the weaknesses you can into strength. Let's really get down to the nitty gritty. Otherwise, you just playing yourself, and always will be repeating the same things over and over. Wake up, people. You're insane. You're literally insane. Repeating the same act over and over, hoping for a different outcome. Well, the only way you're going to create a different outcome is attacking the weaknesses that create the situation where you keep repeating. Wake up. It's up to you. Your choice. Left-hand path is about action. It's about challenging yourself. It's about passion and desires. It's about fulfilling and bringing forth your true potential. Not sitting there hibernating, meditating like you some fluffy Pillsbury Doughboy and expecting that all your weaknesses are not ever going to bother you again. Cut out the nonsense. All right, people, infernal blessings, infernal greetings to all.
I greet you for those who are watching this, and I bless you with this infernal power that will awaken you.
Get at me, the Eternal Black Flame 666 at gmail.com, or reach me on my Instagram page, the Eternal Black Flame. If you want a quicker response, do not email. If you want a quicker response, message me on Instagram. That's how you're going to receive a quicker response. Otherwise than that, it's going to take a longer response. I'm a very busy individual running a business, doing classes, things of that nature. So if you don't get a quick response, it is because I'm busy. If you want a quicker response, message me on Instagram. Check out patreon.com, the Eternal Black Flame. Choice of classes that are presently occurring and new ones to come. Sign up. You have a choice now on Patreon if you want to just pay for the whole year. Instead of monthly membership, you just pay for it for a whole year, not have to worry about monthly charges. That's another choice. Or you could do the monthly payment. But if you're going to join, please be consistent. Okay? Be consistent, because what I've been facing, and many of us who work on this left-hand path and have pages on Patreon or our own websites or things of that nature, is we don't have people who are truly
consistent about what they say they want to live. So therefore, they come in, they drop off, and then they try to come back. They come in, drop off, they try to come back. I'm going to make this announcement right now. Starting in 2021, if you sign up and you are inconsistent and drop off a class and come back, drop off a class after the third time, you're cut. I'm not going to allow you back in. You can just go on your merry way, because you're wasting my time, and my time is valuable. My time is everything. And if you waste my time, I have no patience for that. And I definitely don't have no love for that. So do not jump in, jump out, come back, come in, come back. I'm not playing that. If you want to invest in yourself, be consistent. If you invest in yourself to go back to school, you're going to go back to school. You're going to make sure you go to the classes. You're going to make sure you take the notes. You're going to make sure that you pass the test, right? Well, invest in yourself in this respect, because this is going to cause you to grow more than any educational class ever could. So invest in yourself and stop with the inconsistency. If you're going to be real, stay here and be real. Otherwise, after the third time, that's it. You're not allowed back in. I'm not playing that coming next year. Sorry. It's inconsistency is something that I do not condone. On this path, you have to be consistent in your work constantly to get results. That inconsistency allows lackadaisicalness to occur, laziness to set in, stagnation to occur. Do something about it, people. Let's represent, starting now this month, all the way going forward through 2021. All right? Infernal blessings, infernal greetings.